mess that up. So you know what, I will reach out to Sherry Carlson and ask her if she has any idea. Bill, do you have any idea whether we have the closed caption capability through the town account?
I haven't seen that anywhere, to be honest with you. None of the meetings are using it, but we're using a paid account, that I know. So we should
Right.
have the top of the line Zoom account. So if it's in there as a without having to type it out, you should have it.
Okay, I'll make an inquiry. That's a good suggestion, Maeve. And if we can figure out how to make it work, or whether we even have that capability, then we can let Sherry know to maybe let the other town committees, just make them aware of it so that they can do that as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Also, there might be some sort of script that comes with the recording. When I've recorded meetings before, I notice, I have to go look at my files, but I noticed that you get multiple types of files with the recording, and maybe one of them is a written one. I don't know, could be like a script.
Have you ever watched any of our meetings, prior meetings recorded? I've not watched our meetings, but I have watched like the traffic advisory committee. And I just see video. But that doesn't mean that there's not some way to access a script. But so, yeah, I'll do some investigating.
Yeah, I watched a few videos just trying to see whether or not it was in use, since it, I watched one from like most of different town events, and it doesn't seem to be used so far. And I turned on, like, because it goes on YouTube, and then I turned on the closed captioning on YouTube, and it wasn't quite picking it up, but the same way it was okay. Mm-hmm. But also I would hope that, since these meetings, am I right that these meetings are open to the public though, if they wanted to come?
Yes. Yes, so, it's published in the Wakefield item. So anybody who's interested and saw it would be welcome to join.
Yeah, so to increase, visibility in the meetings as well, closed captioning would just be more accessible and an easier way for them to easier way for anyone to access this.
Okay, well, we will definitely investigate that. So Lois, do you have your audio back? Oh, she's got the flag. All right, well, we're past that. Do you have the Treasury report? Lois, she doesn't realize you're on mute. You have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Okay.
How are you?
Okay.
Muted.
Muted. It's the same as last time, $11,576.29. Same
Okay.
as last time.
Very good.
Has
Thank
not gone.
you. Okay. So Lorna, you had a concern regarding the sidewalk access
Yeah.
on trash day.
Primarily on sidewalks that kind of go on some of the busier roads where the sidewalk goes from the person's property right to the street, so that there isn't like, a green strip of lawn between the sidewalk and the street. And so I've noticed, only because I'm up walking early in the morning, is that people put the trash barrels and their recycling barrels on the sidewalk. So anybody with a disability, mobility disability, can't get by these trash barrels.
Because there's not enough width
There's not enough width.
to pass by.
Right. And so I was, looking at it saying, if people would only put their trash barrels actually at the end of their driveway, it wouldn't block access to continuing on the sidewalk. because especially when it's trash day and recycling day, it's, you know, I've noticed that there's a lot of difficulty for anybody that has any mobility problems. Or even if they don't have mobility problems, people have to walk out in the street and then get back on the sidewalk after they've passed the trash barrels and the recycling barrels. So I didn't know if there was anything that we could think about doing that or being able to, because I'm sure that people aren't doing it intentionally to block.
No, they're not even thinking.
Exactly. So I just didn't know if there was some way that we could do some kind of community education on, and it's really, the problem is just for most of my perception is just on those streets that the sidewalk just goes from the person's property to the street.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do. If you have an idea of what streets specifically you wanted to hit, we could target, you know, at least a mailer to them to let them know.
Well, I know that there's one street in particular because I walk on it every morning, and that's Montrose Ave.
Okay.
So it's that type of street that I'm sure that it's just not Montrose Ave in the whole town of
Yep.
Wakefield does the same thing. So it's that kind of a street where the sidewalk just goes to the street.
Sure, I got you. So basically, if you just have a 5-foot wide sidewalk. All right.
I'm sorry, Bill,
Yeah,
what was that?
I can look through our contract with the trash collection company, because I'm not sure if it has to be in the street or if the driveway's fine. So let me look into that, and then I can either email you, Marie, or the committee, or talk about it at the next meeting if you'd like. Either way.
Sure, that'd be
Okay,
great.
that'd be great.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. So the next item was, there was a question on an update regarding WCOT and the CAT and the POST program. And on October 15, the POST students went to Salem for a community trip, and one of WCAT's interns accompanied them and did some filming. So the intent is that they are working on a video, and I think they are, WCAT is going to post, and obviously these outings, they've done some interviews, staff interviews, and I don't know any more of the specifics because I haven't connected with POST recently. But it looks like they're putting something together, and we should be seeing something within the next couple of months. So I'll be really excited to see that. I saw a little blurb from the very beginning when they started the interviews, and it was really very impressive. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. But I will reach out to POST just to get a sense from them as to where they are. Okay, I think at the last meeting, we talked about a banner. And I think we all agreed that we would be amenable to spending some money to be able to do that. Is there anybody who objects to that? So is there somebody who would like to take the lead on investigating a banner, the cost of the banner? I think we had talked about just a 6-foot banner that would go on a table if we were at some event. I don't know when we'll be doing that anytime soon, but
Right.
so just to let you know, many years ago, the Wakefield Special Ed Parent Advisory Council did something like that, and I think we had it made by the T-Stop. And it was made from a heavy vinyl, and it was 2 pieces. It was a piece that went across the table, and then it was a piece that hung down in front of the table. So you could put your items on top of it to anchor it to that table, and then the piece that dropped down in front of the table had, you know, the Wakefield CPAC and whatever particular information we wanted. But certainly whatever, there may be other ones that would service us better. So if somebody wants to take the lead to go and investigate some different options and the cost of that. I don't recall who brought that up at the last meeting.
Rod,
I will do that if you, I can volunteer unless somebody else wants to.
I can do it.
Okay, Lois, do you mind if Levon takes that and she'll go and do some investigating?
Sure.
I mean, if you have other information that you want to bring to the table, that's great. Let's do that. Do you think we could have the data together by the next meeting? Lois?
Yes.
So Lois, if you would go out too, do you mind in doing some just investigating and coming back?
Yeah.
So I think the specs are, we want a 6-foot banner, right? Some kind of banner that goes on a 6-foot table.
Two things,
Sure.
may I mention? Several years ago, Dan and I had one made, but when, for the commission, and when the person had left, we didn't get the banner back.
Oh,
And then the other thing I was going to mention, if I could go back on one comment that was made,
sure.
WCAT.
Yes.
If you people are satisfied with Ryan and what he's doing with posts, I think it would be a good idea or a good suggestion to write a little note to let him know, because you were very surprised possibly on the
Okay.
good job that they were doing, even though it might have only been a one time at the moment that you saw.
yeah, she didn't see it.
Yes, we can definitely do that, to send a thank you to them for taking the time to do that.
Regarding the sign, Rod, now, is someone else taking out that? Because we know Rod Faulkner.
He's done.
Sure, if you want to give Rod a call, and Levon,
Okay.
you probably have some other
Okay.
contacts as well.
We'll get a couple of prices.
6-foot banner with grommets,
Grommets.
not too heavy, but just enough so it won't tear apart in the wind.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think they probably do it in some type of a heavy
Yeah.
plastic or vinyl or.
Yeah.
Just
whatever
come up
that
with
is.
a design or something, but that,
Yeah,
You have
that will have to be another topic of discussion. We'll have to decide what we want it to say. But if we can just get the price for a basic banner,
Okay.
I'm sure the more bells and whistles we add, the more it will cost, but that at least will give
Right.
us an idea. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. And then at the last meeting, we talked about the possibility of presenting intelligent lives via Zoom. Paula, what's your reading on that because of the copyright situation? You're on mute. You're on mute, Paula. There you
Sorry
go.
about that.
That's okay.
We can't do it because of the copyright.
Okay, well, that ain't.
I mean, you could do it if you were doing it to like 10 people or 15 people, but I think our hope had been to kind of do it as a disability outreach or kind of outreach to the community, let people know that we were here and to broaden their awareness of disabilities. And I'm not sure that if we just invite 10 people that we're able to do that. If we had like a small group, if we wanted to share it with the schools, I'm sure we could do that. But I think it would just be like more smaller groups versus kind of the bigger event.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Just disappointing, but
Yeah.
I get it. Yep, it looks, we're gonna have to really get creative now as to what else we can do to get our names out there.
Just on that, is it that we can't physically show it over Zoom? Is that the copyright issue?
I would have to double check. You can't, like, we had talked about showing it on like WCAT originally before we had gotten the high school. And we couldn't do that either.
Okay.
But I can find out. Like, do you have another thought?
Yeah, maybe if we just said watch it and then held a panel discussion after. I know that's what my college has been doing, because the issues of copyright have come up. And so instead of like having the event over Zoom, or having it just giving people the access to it, if it's on a platform that most people have, then holding a panel discussion with, giving people like a certain amount of days, and it could work.
So I think how does that work, Paula? When we had planned to do it at the high school, I think the plan was you would have a copy of it on a DVD that you would, or CD.
I was gonna download it, from the server, over, Wi-Fi.
And it would have been on your laptop, and we would have been showing it to the contained crowd in that theater.
Right. But let me ask about, let me ask and see, like, I'm wondering if we could put it on like the commission's website for, like a couple of days, or if we could put it on the Communitas website for a couple of days, because then you're not saying it's going to be there indefinitely. But, for this week, check it out and then come and see our panel discussion.
Okay.
It's worth
I like
asking.
that.
The worst they can say is no.
Right, but that would be a nice option. And then we would have to really give some thought as to who some of the, what we want the panel to look like to make it kind of interesting. And of course, the panel would be via Zoom, so that always makes things a bit tricky, but that's all right. Keep our fingers crossed. Okay, I'm going to go back up to the discussion on the commission goals and bylaws, and I'm glad you're here, Bill. So last month, Bill, we had Jeff Dugan from the Mass Commission on Disabilities. And he was a wealth of information, and he explained to us, let me see if I can find my notes. And I did a bit of research. All right, well, I don't have it handy. But in order to become a commission in the town, there was a, let me see if I can go here. Under Mass General Laws, and I'm sorry if I'm losing you here, Chapter 40, Section 8J. The commission was adopted. And as a result of that, we are allowed to receive funding from any parking, handicap parking tickets that the town receives in. And also as a result of that, we're supposed to have bylaws in place. And before we spin our wheels doing that, Sherry had given me the link to the town code, which I had gone on and done some investigating. And while I see this information, the fact that the commission became a commission at a certain town meeting, and that we do fall under the jurisdiction that I just mentioned, unlike other committees, some of the other committees in town, not all of them have bylaws, at least they're not published in that code. This commission did not, and I didn't know whether you were aware if there are any before we go off and attempt to create some.
No, no, we definitely don't have any. And I mean, I'd be interested to see what communities do, because I haven't seen a boatload of them, I can tell you that. I think there's maybe a handful that may have something. Most of it's
Right.
usually about the transition plan and what you're gonna do to eliminate barriers. That big, the presentation I made maybe a year ago. That's usually where they're focusing. So if there's examples, I'd love to see it.
So on the Wakefield town code site, there are other
Yep.
committees and commissions in town that do have bylaws, such as the finance committee, the town council.
Yep.
Not
Yep.
everybody does. And so I was curious about that and wondering if there is any pro or con by putting some in place. The bylaws would say the number of members that we could have, what each member's term is, just different things like that. Is there any reason why we would not want to put anything like that together?
No, but that should have been put together in the charge that the selectmen at the time would have voted on and what town meeting would have voted on. So that should be in that vote and covered, at least those items. The number of members, the terms, all that should be in there.
And so we do, they are, at least the
Mhm.
number of members are in there, and it said up to a maximum of 7.
Yep.
But according to the law that I quoted, it's up to a maximum of 15. At least that's what the state says. So I guess that would be a discussion we would have as to whether we want to increase the current number that are on there. I didn't see anything about terms in the town code, but Sherry has given us those, what each of our terms are. I don't know where she's getting that from. When I asked about bylaws, she was not aware of any. So
Yeah.
can you direct us?
So what typically, what would have happened is that the selectmen would have been authorized by town meeting to create a commission on disability. And then once they did that, there would have been a vote at the selectmen to dictate the terms and who, the number of people that are on it, the years that they're on, that type of thing. So there's, I'm not aware of, I'm sorry, I'm not aware of any other communities really that have commission on disability bylaws. I mean, back in the day, I was a consultant for many communities and had to do a lot of this stuff with, different projects and whatnot in roadways and whatnot. And then also, some ADA assessments for some buildings and different things that I've done down, back in the day. I'm not aware of anyone that has bylaws specifically. If you wanted to do a bylaw, it would have to be a general bylaw that goes to town meeting to get adopted.
Okay.
And, I guess I would ask, what are you trying to accomplish with it? Because most of these things are all dictated by either federal or state statutes. So.
And the fact that we should have bylaws is what Jeff has told us is dictated by the state statute under which we are incorporated.
If he has an example, I'd love to see it. Yeah.
Yes, I will actually.
That would be my role, honestly, is that to draft that for the commission's review and approval.
Okay, so hold on. Let me see if I can share my screen. Let me figure out how to do that. Share screen. Okay. Okay. Yeah, well, I guess I don't have it up. I thought I did. Yep, unfortunately, I guess I don't have it up. I thought I had the bylaws up. I will send them to you under separate cover so that you can see what he provided us. But he gave us examples of bylaws, and he also gave us examples of goals that the commission would typically have.
Okay.
So I had sent an email to folks regarding that. Did anybody have a chance to look at that? Let me see if I can.
Might check with the town council.
Oh, here we go. Oh. See if I can find. Hi, Lois. Yes?
Just a question. You may consider talking to Tom Mullen, where he's the
Council.
town council.
Yeah, I will write that down and see.
Up and up legally.
Just to be up on the up legally.
Well, if we do anything, I'm sure it would probably have to go through council, Bill, would it?
It does, yeah. He would review anything that we look to do. He'd be plugged in. If you decided to move forward with this, he'd be well involved in the process.
Yeah, okay. All right, let me just, I thought I had taken some notes, but let me see if I can get
No, council.
into. Does
Council.
anybody happen to have that email that I sent out the other day?
I do, yeah.
Okay,
I don't have it.
would you want to pull it up and then maybe you could share it? I'm just not in the town website.
I have it too, if anyone needs me to do it.
I don't have it.
If you want to share, you have to make them a host though, Marie.
And
If they want to share this-
is that allowable?
Yeah, you
You
just
can do
click
it,
on the little arrow next to the share screen and there's something that says like multiple presenters. You click on that.
Okay,
And then
multiple.
anybody can present.
Yep, gotcha. Okay, done.
Maybe this isn't what you were thinking. This is just like the sample bylaws, that?
Yes, yep, that's exactly what Jeff had provided. There we go. Oops, Bill, do you see that?
I do. This is to create, yeah, that's to create the commission though, typically, right? That's what that's for.
Nope, it's sample operating bylaws.
All right.
So, so title and purpose, powers and duties,
Mm-hmm.
the membership as we discussed, which we know there's something already in place for that.
Right.
Can you scroll a little bit more? Okay, there's the officers, duties.
Mm-hmm.
Meetings.
Yeah, if you want to forward that along, I'll take a read through.
Okay, and then if, yeah, Paul, and then there are the goals.
Okay.
I like that.
I thought the goals were really interesting and helpful, just in terms of providing some direction. I don't know that we'd be able to tackle more than like one a year, but I also think that could be, could be exciting just to, have something concrete that we're working on, kind of. And then I don't have the link with I thought I did have the link from your email from yesterday.
Oh, that was the code that I had sent.
Yeah.
I know, unfortunately, I sent that, I'm trying to use the town website, but it's also not easy for me to bounce and get in and out of it.
Right.
Well, what I am going to do though is I'm going to see if I can share. What I do have up is our discussion topics, which I had also sent to you folks. Okay, let me see if I can you see my screen?
Oh,
Nope. Okay, I'm obviously not doing it right then. Back in here, share screen. Okay, here we go. Okay. So here are, and these, what I'm suggesting we do is go through these, add if anybody else has any suggestions, and we don't have to do that today. We can maybe have that the focus of our next meeting. But some of these items are currently some of our goals, specifically showing intelligent lives. That is one of the goals. And that would fall under the disability awareness. We had brought up the training for first responders that Paula had mentioned. We currently have a website, a town website. We don't have a lot of information on it, and we had previously discussed posting on there pertinent information. For instance, if we had any particular details regarding voting, then maybe we would have wanted to put that on our website for this period. Post Academy could be considered another goal. So I think what we should do at our next meeting is over the next month, think of some goals that we would like to do as a commission and brainstorm them and then add them to this list. And some of the items I've listed here as resolved were, the public reaching out to us for our support. And I'm just keeping a running tab of some of the issues that we have already encountered and the resolution. And a lot of it is so far has been around handicapped parking. Okay. Turn to meeting.
On the topic of resolved issues from the public, I have a question for you, Bill. How frequently do you get ADA complaints, and is that something that you see pretty frequently as the coordinator?
Not very much at all, to be honest with you. I've seen maybe, let's see, I've been here for about 2 years now. I've received 1 or 2 complaints. Yeah, they're pretty minor. Both of them were pretty minor complaints too. So one was a handicap space, which we ended up doing. I've got a complaint on when we did the seating areas and stuff for the businesses. That was one that I've received. But aside from that, a few things here and there. A lot of it's more maintenance related, either freshening up signs, replacing a sign, or updating pavement markings, that type of thing. That's usually what ends up being.
Okay, thank you.
And speaking of sign, Bill, I don't know if you were aware, we had been working with Lieutenant Anderson. We had been approached by a family last year on Bateman Court who had a child with a disability, autism, and they had a serious incident with him running out into the road, and they wanted some kind of a sign posted there, and it got approved. Are you familiar with that? I'm just wondering.
I'm on the traffic advisory committee as well. So when those issues come up, I'm on that committee too. So
do you have any update on that sign?
I don't know where it landed. I know that we approved it. We thought the issue is that there is not a specific autistic child sign. That doesn't really exist. So we were trying to find a solution as to what would be a good compromise. And to be honest with you, I don't know where that landed, but I can follow back up with that.
That would be great if you could. I guess it was my understanding that the DPW was just going to have a sign made up. I don't know if there's a place that you go that does different signs. I don't know how that works.
We don't really do that because when you put up a sign, the signs are supposed to be part of consistent with the manual for uniform traffic control devices. So what that is like it's a federal document that lays out all the different types of signs that you can use and how they're installed and where it's appropriate to use, so that it's consistent across all states. Because if every state did their own different interpretations of signs, you wouldn't really understand it as you're driving state to state or place to place. So we have to keep it consistent. That's the key. So there's certain types of advisory signs that we can install, and at that point I thought that was in the highway supervisor's court to locate and then get to me, but I don't remember seeing anything on it. So let me take the lead on it and I'll figure out what's going on with that.
Okay.
I know that they have a couple in Reading. I don't know if that helps you out if you yeah, I know they have at least 2 children with autism signs in Reading.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's good to
whether
know.
you can get any sign made up by a sign company. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's compliant with the requirements that you're supposed to meet. And some towns will end up just making a sign and sticking it up. So, we're trying to we've been doing that probably for the better half of the last 20 years, and we're trying to streamline the process and have consistent signs so as to replace their, there's a bunch of other items that go with it, with so you can see it at night, and replacement schedules and all that type of stuff. So we're on all that stuff, but it's something. Let me look into it and I'll get back to you.
Okay, that would be great, because I mean, we were told it was approved. We told this family that it's coming, and it's been coming for a long time. And so
Sure.
would like to try to get that resolved, or if there's something else. It just seems, it just seems odd that if there is a uniform traffic control, that they don't have provisions for things like that.
Yeah,
But,
I understand.
whatever you
But
can
I'll
find
look
out.
into it. Yep,
I
I'll look through it. They
appreciate
update it every couple of years, so.
Okay, so I think we covered everything that was on the agenda. Does anybody else have anything else they would like to discuss?
We did apply for a grant, an ADA grant to finish up the transition plan for all, to do an assessment of all the buildings in town. It's about an $80,000 request that we put in last month as a heads up. And so this is a reoccurring grant that happens every year. So it might be something that the commission might want to start thinking about priorities. I've heard of a few here and there, but obviously you folks will be the ones that know where the priority should be. We've also had a request for new accessible entrance for the cultural exchange on Albion Street, which we're looking into. That might be a construction request next year. But if you have some other ideas or other things that make sense, please by all means let me know.
Okay,
There's
so
sizable
can you,
amounts of
what
dollars.
exactly is the name of that grant that you mentioned?
Oh, it's through it's through the Massachusetts Office of Disability. I'd have to go back. They have 2 different grants that you can apply for. There's ones that handle planning and plans. That's the one we applied for. And then there's an action grant too that goes with it. I can get you what the name of it is, Marie.
Okay,
Now,
that,
I just wanted to ask Bill something.
Yeah.
Did you say that the grant was to help businesses come in more compliance
No.
with the ADA?
No, town buildings.
Oh, just town buildings?
Yeah.
town bill, okay. When you wrote the grant, were you specific in it as to, did you have particular modifications that you were thinking about when you wrote that grant?
No,
As to which
no,
buildings needed what?
No. It's a whole assessment of every building in town. So what they would do is identify any discrepancies between the requirements and, what's happening there. So like a good example would be Town Hall. We have those little shelves that, kind of sit down. Those aren't necessarily compliant because if you look at the back of the shelves, they're still up at the same counter height. They're supposed to be lower, like small things like that. The door, how much pull you need to open the doors, that type of stuff. They look at, heights of, the buttons for the elevator, all that type of stuff.
Okay.
Bathrooms, compliance with bathrooms, anything that's in the public realm that the public can enter into is something that they will be looking at.
And who goes actually in and does the assessment? Somebody will be coming from the Mass Office of Disability to do the assessment?
No, it's a consultant. So basically they're
Okay.
funding the consultant to come in to do it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so we've actually reached out to 2 different consultants. So I applied for the same grant last year and didn't get it, but that doesn't mean anything. So, you know, we can still potentially get it this year.
Hi, Lois, you have a question?
Would it be okay if Dan said something?
Sure.
Dan?
Dan, will you just introduce yourself, please?
I agree with Bill there. We had talked to Jonathan Chimes about that grant from the Mass Office of Disability. And Jeff had also explained about it. It was specifically for municipal buildings and where they need an elevator in the Cultural Arts Center in the back and a handicap accessible door, possibly in the front also, but this would not include a ramp.
Right.
I think that might be part of the Main Streets program, but this might be a couple years out.
Yeah, what we did with the Main Street, so I received the grant for the complete streets to reconstruct the sidewalk and add in the, you know, accessible bump outs and all that stuff to go on Albion. What we ended up doing was actually pushing the portion from Foster's to Main Street into the Envision project. So that would be vetted out through that process. Because I think in order to get the ramp at the front of the building, we would end up having to go and lose probably the better half of 4 or 5 parking spaces. I think we also have an opportunity to go and provide the ADA access from the back, which would be a lot easier to do and less construction. So, you know, Steve Mayo and myself are going to be reaching out to Santander about a potential easement to make all that happen. So that would be, you know, a route through the back. I think that would be a lot easier than trying to get up the stairways in the front. We're a little bit more real estate constrained in the front than we are in the back. So,
I would be concerned about the back entrance. I'm sure you know more about this than me, given your work history, but just the back entrance as the only accessible entrance because of, I know about a case where that's typically you need an entrance in the front that's accessible for dignity as well as some other issues. Am I correct about that?
yeah, you are, but it is a historic building, so it would technically be exempt from all that, realistically. But when we looked into it, really, I mean, it doesn't seem to make a ton of sense for me looking at it to enter through the front with the way that ramp would have to go. I mean, you'll be chasing it for pretty much the entire front of the building. So it's not like a small little ramp to get in because you have 2 or 3 steps to get up. So to make in the grade of the road actually is it has a little bit of a pitch to it as well. So when you add all that stuff up to it, you end up chasing this ramp for a ways. So it seemed to me that the back entrance, which was their initial request, was to look at the back of the entrance as the entrance for the accessibility entrance. And, you know, there's some property issues that would have to be resolved. So we just couldn't make a quick decision to do it. That's what ended up happening. So we'll be vetting this thing out over the next, you know, over the year and trying to make that happen. So
I believe the town has an easement, I think, out to Chestnut Street too, through the back. So it would be
I don't know if they have the full, we don't have the full easement. We have a portion of an easement that's in this little alleyway where that there's like a little stairway that bumps out. We have an easement there. But I don't believe it goes all the way to Chestnut Street, at least nothing I could find. So
you
doesn't
have
mean
to
we
have
can't get one
proof
though.
from Santine, their bank or whatever.
Yeah, but Steve feels pretty confident that he has some pull with them to make that happen. So they're definitely not using it because there's a fire lane that's there too, and there's a lot of extra pavement that's really just, you know, parking lot. And I think we could make a nice little, you know, a perfect little ramp to get right in there. So and then restrict some parking on Chestnut too, to provide the you know, the access and the parking for the building too. So it might be a better solution, but well, like I said, we'll be vetting it out.
All right, that sounds promising. Hi, Lois. Yes?
Hi, just for your information, about 15, 20 years ago, we had an issue with Santander's bank. I don't remember whether it was their bank at the time, but could have been the trust company. My mother was in a wheelchair, and what I'm trying to say is the old time people that there used to be on the side of Chestnut Street.
Yeah.
It used to be a place where you could go do your banking, and there used to be an overhang and stuff. But,
Sure.
okay, that's not there anymore, but there is a door. So my family got really kind of upset because my mother was in a wheelchair, could not get into the bank to go to get her
Work.
she couldn't
Sure.
get in the door. So
Yeah, makes sense. I follow you.
so they did make a door after we complained a lot. So that
Mhm.
is accessible, that side
Okay.
door, if nobody can get in because of my family. So
Okay.
So
That's good.
I'm thinking of
then we'll make
Santander
everything-
Bank, and there's stairs up the front, and then in the back, that little parking lot, there is some kind of a window drive
There
up of the,
Mhm.
right.
where
that-
is the entrance to go into the bank, the accessible entrance?
right?
Right in
That
the
is
corner of the building.
right in the corner. There is a door, and that's where people who are in wheelchairs type thing, like my mother was. And that's how they made that accessible to people that want to get into their little bank. Can't think of the word. Their boxes, where they,
Oh, the
Have-
safety deposit box.
The safe
Yeah.
deposit boxes.
thank
yes.
you, I forgot. So that's what was done as being accessible. That was never done before. So I just want that to be something that was done for the town, actually. My mother and the
Great.
town.
Right, that's good to know.
The same problem existed at the AmeriCal Civic Center years ago. The only way of somebody in a handicap could get in was through the large door on Armory Street. They'd have to open up, you could get in. But you feel out of place if you're in a wheelchair or something, somebody has to
Sure.
bring you around. And that's why they basically put on that ramp in front of the AmeriCal.
Right.
And that solved that
Gotcha.
problem. And now they have an elevator also in there.
Well, we're getting there, and now we'll have this assessment done, so we'll be able to identify what, the potential issues, other issues we have that can be resolved.
Well, fingers crossed on that, right? Fingers
Yes,
crossed on that grant.
Not
we'll
too
have to
many-
go back to our notes, because if that's what Jeff was describing, he did say, I've forgotten what he said, but they gave out a couple that were a large dollar value, and then they tried to give out many smaller dollar values to try to, give out as many grants as they can. So hopefully 80K isn't considered too large. Okay, does anybody have anything else?
Could I ask Paula a question?
Sure.
Is Communicars having some kind of a gala or something coming up? I don't know if it's virtual or not. Could you speak on that?
Sure, yes. I think it's the 30th of November. I am not sure, but it is virtual. Everything is virtual, and I guess they've been putting together a bunch of different videos, and it'll be the same comedians that typically go to the gala that's in person. And then there'll be a variety of different items that you can bid on. And I
Join our Better Together Gala, Friday, November 20th,
thank you.
in my email.
Thank you.
When Communicars moved into Audubon Road, we were there that first year. And it was a
Right.
great experience for us there.
It was.
We met a lot of people there, and definitely it was great. The only other thing that was better than that was the Abilities Expo in Boston, which I think now is virtual also. So
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Lorna and I will contest that Communitas is an awesome organization. Both of our kids get a ton of services from Communitas, and
And a
they're
lot of
very
people don't know about
disappointed that it's all virtual and not not that fabulous Halloween party that we usually have, so. Dan's never gonna get over this year, ever.
Oh,
Scarred for life.
poor guy.
I have a question. This is Sherry.
Hi, Sherry.
Hi, I'm looking at the agenda and it says the next meeting is December 5th, which is a Saturday. Is that true?
I would say no,
No,
that is
it's like-
incorrect.
Must be my typo.
First
Okay,
Monday.
it's December 5th.
No, it should be the 7th.
The
Okay.
7th, yes.
It
I'll
didn't make
fix that.
sense, but I said,
Yeah.
oh, let me ask because I don't.
I'll fix it up so it ends up correct on the minutes.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I didn't know if you all saw it in the paper, I was appointed to the school committee.
Yes.
We did see that.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
thanks. I'll see. But, yeah, so there might be something, some cross
Sure.
things that we could do once I figure out what I'm doing.
Yes, that would be great if you could,
Yeah.
let us know.
Yeah, and
And-
I was also appointed as the chair of the Student Services Subcommittee. So I think there's
Oh.
probably some opportunity for us to do something in collaboration. So that's
Yeah,
it.
that
I'll
would,
keep you
that-
informed.
and they would probably be very interested in what is going on with Post.
Yes.
I would say they already know because I had reached out to them, the director of special ed, Lynn, before we did this, just to make sure she was on, she was on board and she knew it was going on, but yeah, depending on how that works out, maybe there could be a presentation, at the
Exactly.
school committee meeting.
Yeah,
That might be
exactly.
interesting. Because they haven't done, Post has done a couple of presentations to the school committee. But it's been a while, so that might be a nice opportunity at a school committee meeting. That would give them a little bit of visibility too.
Yeah.
Okay, if no one has anything else, then I would ask that someone make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I will.
Lois, thank you.
I'll
And
second
someone
it.
to second the motion. Was that you, Paula?
Yep.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we are joining the meeting at 8:04 and we will be back together on December 7th. And I would just ask that you review the goals information that Jeff had provided us and then the information I had provided as to what we're currently maintaining as goals and interests, and just come up with some other ideas because we'd really love to add to that list.
Okay.
And Bill, in the meantime, if you would let us know what you find as far as I'm losing my train of thought here. On the bylaws, we'll know whether we need to spend the time to create some or not.
Okay, yep, I'll
Okay.
review and get back to you.
All right, I appreciate it.
No
All right,
problem.
it was good to see everybody.
Yep.
And we'll see you next month, if not before.
All right, stay well, stay safe, happy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Same to you,
Bye.
Sherry. Good
Good night.
night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.